So continue. How we will check? Since the term is found, right? Then how we will find the section? So that's why here you see, right? You need to go over the seen section number array from the already seen. So that's why we need to have index for that. So we're using the J. But the J condition is what? The J condition, remember, that's the in the struct we have number of sections seen. This number is so far how many sections in this array. So that's our condition. That's our boundary. So that's why the boundary name actually is long. Because one thing is you need to get the array first. You're already seeing array I. Okay, so then this I is the object, right? So then this object, then we have our array is seen section number. So this array not yet. This array is later we will go through the for loop. So now we need to using this array. Then you have your seen section number. Wait, I have forgotten entry. Okay, so actually it's this one, right? Right, it's number of sections seen. So number of sections seen is the boundary. So it's number of sections seen. Right. So this one is belong to the struct. Yeah, because I didn't run this program on the IDE yet. I just using that for the editor. So that's why you see that's our J. So that's our J for int. J equal to 0. J less than our boundary. So then J plus plus. We need to check what? Yeah, we need to check the term. Okay, so if in the for loop, if the okay, so again, you see your for loop J equal to 0. So this J equal to 0 actually is for the seen section number array in the already seen array. So that's the boundary. So then we need to check in that dynamic array. You see here is this dynamic array. So this dynamic array contains all the section number. So we need to do one by one to check. So once we find that, right? Okay, so actually we need to be careful here because if you find that the section is equal to the section we're looking for, right, you need to break. But not only you break, you need to be careful. Here, you need to see this break, actually we know it's the duplicate. That's when you break, that's the duplicate section. So it's the duplicate section. So when we leave this for loop, then we need to check the J again. So that's why here, right? The J actually is important. This value we need to use after our if else statement, after the for loop. So that's why here you can add your J actually here. So one thing you just need to remember, your I is the index for the turn check. Then J is for the section check. So then we need to declare that outside the for loop. So that's why later we can check. So then you will see here, if turn find, then we will continue to see turn find, then we need to find the section. So this section, right, your for loop condition is this. So if they are matched the section, yeah, that's a duplicate section. So then we break. So then you done for this else, right? But one thing is we need to be careful. After you finish, depends on where you need to add the new term, right? So one thing is what we can do is we can finish here. Because after you finish the break, then we can check the J. Because if the J is not break in the middle, so on the other hand, we need to add the new term, right? We need to add a new section, right? So right, so here is if J equal to, if we finish this for loop according to this value, right? So that's why we need to. If j equal to the boundary, that's mean you finish this for loop, but you didn't find the section. So we need to add the section. So we add section. Section is where? Yeah, it's here. They still in the already seen I. Okay, but one thing is already seen I need to add to my array. So the array name is seen section number. So then here actually, right, actually you need to do is the location actually is J. Okay, so then you need to assign this location is the new place we need to add the section. So that's the location for your section you need to add. And also remember, not only you add the new one, right? So after you add the new section, you will counter for the total section now. You also need to increment that. So that's why now here you're already seeing the number of sections seen. This number need to increment by 1. So then we complete the section not found, then we add the new section. So we done everything. I want you to check to see if we done everything. So the first one we check the turn. So then we see the turn found, we know we do this. But if the turn not found, we do this. And also this one we have two situations. One is the duplicate we break. So then you need to, or your section not found, we add new section. But one thing here, right? Actually, you didn't do one thing is what? You didn't process the duplicate. So this one we need to be careful because when you find the duplication, right, we only can do one break. So this break actually is leave this for loop. So at the end, they will finish, they will leave, eventually they will leave the else. So that's why actually when you find they are duplicate, right, you have no way to really leave. Yeah, because if that's a duplicate, not only you need to leave this for loop, the duplicate we need to what? We need to skip the rest of that. So if this one is the duplicate section, we need to skip the rest of the code and go to the beginning of the while loop. So that's why remember before we write a continue. But now here actually we don't have the continue at all yet. So what kind of situation I will have continue? Right, actually it's this J. Okay, so that's very important for this J. You see, the only situation actually is the J here is equivalent, the location. This section is equivalent to the section. We know that's duplicate. So we finish. Also, that's a good thing because we define J outside the loop at the beginning. So then one thing is right. So actually the only situation J is not equivalent to the already seen I number of sections seen. So then we know here they are duplicate. However, still you need to be very careful. Later on, because you have two conditions, you don't know if your I will change or not. Because you see here, if the I also make the new turn, so then I maybe will be changed. So that's why we don't really want to have that too complicated. So here, this one actually you have your choice. You can either have another bool data. So this bool data is for what? So this bool data is only for the duplicate. So then, because we already have the duplicate variable, let me see, do we have duplicate variable or not? Yeah, we have duplicates. Yeah, so then here maybe you can have the duplicate check, or you can just have the duplicate check counter. So this one actually the duplicate check, it's just the bool number, the bool value. So we just have that default set to. So this one is false actually just for hour later how we will decide I need to skip the rest of the line. then we will go to the beginning of the for loop. So that's why here is after you can do is the easier way you can do is after you find that's the duplicate, right? Before we break, we just set our duplicate check the bool equal to true. So this equal to true actually help us after we finish the turn and the section check. We can know should we need to skip the subject code check. So that's why if your D check is true, right? So then actually that's continue. Yeah, we continue actually just need because they duplicate. So that's we need to skip the rest of the subject code check. So then because you see subject code only for you are not duplicate. So that's why here you can continue with your subject code check. Okay, so I try to explain about that, but I'm not sure actually. This one is you have many different ways to approach that. So honestly, I don't want you to just write the same thing as copy my code. Here is just one example. I show you how I implement that. But actually, the most important thing is you need to see this flowchart to find your own way to implement that. So here, one thing is we just show you one possibility to do that. Actually, you can see in my PowerPoint at the end, I give you even more example to implement that. Because if we want to be easier, maybe you can write a function for that, for the turn check and the section check. Or you have other way. So here I'm using the counter to check if they finish the for loop or not. But then you see you have other way, the same thing like earlier we say. You maybe can have another bool data to help you to identify did you have your term file or not, or a section file or not, or this is a duplicate section. So yeah, so make sure you will try to work down that by yourself and make sure you understand the whole thing. So that's our implementation for option 1.